Why are you here? Why have you tuned in? What are you looking for? What are you hoping for? What do you need at this point in your life? You are at a certain phase of your life. What do you need at this phase of your life? The questions are these. Do you need or want to get and keep oriented to life? Is it time to, after COVID, to reorient yourself to life in general? Is it a time in your life, a phase in your life where you're saying, where am I? Who am I? What do I believe? Where am I going? Do you need to get reoriented at this point? Secondly, do you need to get refocused? What are my priorities? What's the next year look like? What's the next 2 or 3 years look like? Or to get organized. You say, I just feel so disorganized. Every time I turn around, I just feel like I'm just disorganized. Or do you feel like I've got a lot of pieces floating around, but where do I put them? I should start some collections of collecting principles and books and questions. And it's like, what questions do you need? What collections do you need to set up right now? And then lastly, how motivated are you at the moment? Are you excited about the future? Are you motivated? You're really excited about life, where you're going? Your team motivated? Are they excited? If those are why you tuned in, those are the areas we're covering. So fasten in, put your seatbelt on. We're going to go pretty fast today because we've got limited amounts of time. We want to focus and get it talked about, be able to answer your questions to the extent possible, and move on. So we haven't got very much time. It sounds like a lot of time, 3 hours. It isn't very much. It goes fast. So here we go. Number one, how did Jesus look at leadership? He basically said, in the New International Version, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. That's not a new verse to you, I'm sure. But what that basically means is we're to serve people, but that doesn't mean we have to be the bottom of the rung tying shoes. You can serve by being the president of an organization, by being a middle manager, by being on a team. You can serve at a whole variety of levels. What serving means is that you're on the other person's agenda, not your own. But when you're a servant, you don't want to just be a weak servant. You don't want to be a servant that said, if someone asks you, hey, could you help me with this? Oh, I don't know how to do that. Could you help me with this? Well, that's too much for me. No, you basically want to be as powerful as possible, as experienced as possible. That basically, if someone says, hey, could you move this car over a click? You say, sure. And you pick up the car and move it over a click. Say, any other way I can help you. You want to be as powerful a person to be able to do what people need or want from you as possible. A powerful servant, but still a servant. You're constantly preparing. God is constantly preparing you for tomorrow. Whatever you're experiencing today, where you are today, right now, sitting here watching this class, you're getting ready. The things that you're about to learn are things that God knew today you needed to get you ready for a future that only He can see. That's an interesting and helpful perspective, that right now, everything you experience, good, bad, and indifferent, is getting you ready for a future you can't see. You may find that tomorrow an opportunity comes up you've never considered before. When you look back, you'll say, I see now why that happened a long time ago, a year or two ago, because it got me ready for this opportunity. When I was about 8 or 9 years old, I sold little plaques. And one of them I sold to my grandmother Donaldson. And I think it was 15 cents. And it said, only one life, 'twill soon be past. Only what's done for Christ will last. It's a C.T. Studd quote. But it's so true that What we do this coming week, only one life will soon be passed. No one guarantees us tomorrow. We don't know how long this life is going to last. Let's look at ways to maximize your life to help you grow into your full leadership potential as a powerful servant, as Jesus suggested. Today, I come to you not as a professor like Pete Williams did last month. He came as a professor from Cambridge. Dave will come to you next month as sort of a founder leader of an organization of 300 people. I come to you today as a mentor. Let me define mentoring. Ideally, mentoring is a lifelong relationship in which the mentor helps the protege realize her or his God-given potential. Today, I don't even assume I'm a great speaker, but what I do is I try to help you get where you're going. I try to teach you tools that will maximize your future. That's why we're here today. I'm a mentor. Don't be surprised if I make mistakes. Don't be surprised if I'm not dynamic. Don't be surprised those. Be surprised if I get on my own agenda and keep from trying to help you get where you're going, because that's what I'm really about. If you ask me, Bob, if we sat down under a tree and you told me the best you know that would help me grow and develop as a person, as a leader in my next 10, 20, 30 years, what would you tell me? After consulting with a lot of great leaders, as all you've learned, all you've gathered, all you've seen, what would you tell me to help me grow into my full potential, you ask? What we're covering in the next few minutes, couple of hours, is exactly what I would tell you on the subject of personal development. How do you grow personally? First of all, everyone is struggling with something. You're going to make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. Everybody struggles with something. Relax about being a leader because everyone makes mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. If your heart is right toward the Lord, just relax and grow into it. But one of the things to see is that unless you are clear, it's difficult to clearly lead your team. So your role as a leader is to get yourself clear first, and then help your team develop clarity on whatever it is you're discussing. Let me tell you a quick story. But first, let me ask you a question. What's your all-time favorite automobile? You may never own one, but it's the automobile you have admired at a distance. It may be a Maserati, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, a Tesla. What's your favorite automobile? Now, imagine for a minute being on the Autobahn in Germany, which I've been on several times. And on the Autobahn, there are no speed limits. You can be going along about 90 miles an hour, and a big Mercedes goes barreling past you at 160 miles an hour. You may have experienced it. But I want you to imagine for a minute, you are in your all-time favorite automobile. You're there with your best friend. And you come up over the hill in Germany, and you look down in the valley, and there's a deep, dense fog. You can see it's going to be pretty tricky to get through. What's the best thing to do when you're approaching a fog at 160 miles an hour? There's always someone in the group that says, speed up, but you know it's not true. That we have to slow down. Why? Because we can't see. It's not predictable. So we get to the lip of the fog, and we get in the fog, and it doesn't matter how much horsepower your engine has. You're going 1 or 2 miles an hour and still feeling dangerous. Why? Because you don't know what's in front of you, and you're afraid that something's going to come along behind you like an 18-wheeler and run into your backside. There are 3 great enemies of leadership other than Satan himself. Number 1 is fog. because no matter how capable are you can't go fast. So the second one is fatigue. If you're driving in a fog, and you're driving along in your super horsepower car, and you're driving along squinting at the future in the next 20 feet, going a mile an hour, pretty soon you're going to get exhausted. Vince Lombardi, a coach in America, said, fatigue makes cowards of us all. If you're in a state of fatigue today, be careful, because it makes us, it's intimidating. It makes cowards of us all, and of all leaders. And what seems easy when you're rested seems impossible when you're exhausted. That leads to the third enemy: fog, fatigue. The third enemy is flirtations. You begin flirting with ideas you should never flirt with, like, I think I haven't got what it takes, I think I should resign, etc. Now, fog is what will kill you. So a part of what I'm about today is trying the best I know at keeping your thinking clear. That for the last 40 years, I haven't had a board of directors. I haven't had a president helping me know what to do. So I've had to take these life situations and sort out, where do I go from here? How do I keep motivated? How do I keep organized? What I'm going to share with you today is the best tools I've ever encountered or developed to help keep that big picture clear, to keep oriented in life, to keep focused in life, to keep organized, to keep motivated. That's what I'd like to share with you in our time together. There are three areas in which you need to keep developing. And if you looked at a Mercedes logo, or the logo, the symbol, the three-part symbol, and if you assume that in the upper left, you've got personal development, that's helping you grow into your personal potential. That's helping you know how to be a more confident speaker, helping you in your devotions, helping you in your family relations, etc. In the top right third is organizational development. That's how do I develop my team? How do I make decisions, solve problems in terms of staff relations? How do I hire people? How do I fire people? And then the bottom third is technical development. You need to keep developing personal development, organizational development, and technical development. Technical is like medicine or law or orthodontics, where you've got technical specialties. Today, our entire time together is in personal development, helping you grow into your full potential as a person. You want to just keep growing. I used to tell people, plan to peak in 10 years, and every year on your birthday, move it out a year, so that you're just getting ready for whatever God has for you in the future. Now, in preparing for our time together, I've maybe spent 50 to 100 hours just getting ready for our time together. And a part of what I began seeing was I had a lot of pieces put together, but I didn't have an overall structural framework. I had it intuitively, but I didn't ever have it to where I could teach it to someone. And so this session, we're going to basically keep a 5-point life focusing framework. In other words, whether someone's around or not, what's the framework you use to keep oriented, focused, motivated, etc.? What are the 5 things that you keep focused on? And the 5 things you keep focused on are: you keep oriented, the big picture, keep focused, what are my priorities, to stay strategic. How do you keep organized to avoid time wasters? How do you keep collected, clarifying your communications, which we'll get into? And then how do you keep motivated? Those are the 5 things that as a Christian leader, as a powerful servant, you have to and want to just keep track of all the time. One of the things that I experienced when I was maybe in my 40s or 50s, I would get disoriented. One year, I remember I was about maybe 48 years old. I got disoriented for a year. It's like I couldn't figure out where I was going. I couldn't figure out who I was. I couldn't figure out where I wanted to go in the future. I just couldn't figure life out. And it just felt like a year of disorientation. Today, I'm not bragging at all. But there's rarely a week go by or a few days go by that I don't feel focused. I don't feel oriented, focused, organized, uh, collected, and motivated. Now, I get down just like you do, and everyone does. Everyone gets down occasionally. That's often when I talk to my wife, Cheryl. I call my sister, Jan. I ask for prayer. Uh, Everyone gets sort of disoriented, unmotivated, gets sort of discouraged, frankly. But the framework I'm giving you today is the proven framework, the proven tools that I've used for the last 40 years, developed in the last 40 years, but used for the last 20 years, that are the ones I actually use to keep that framework in place. They're the tools I use to keep the framework. They're tools. One of the things that you want to see in life is that trying to solve a problem without the right tool is like trying to drive a nail into a hardwood board with your fist. It doesn't work. It doesn't work real well. So I'm going to give you 10 tools. That's what the rest of our session is going to be, is learning certain tools that help keep you oriented, focused, organized, collected, and motivated. That's what we're going to do in our time together. Now, one key point. Self-focused does not mean self-centered. You may think, well, if I'm self-oriented and self-focused and self-organized, doesn't that mean I'm sort of self-centered? No, it means that you're learning how to keep yourself focused and keep yourself on strategic priorities, etc., to help other people. So you're not self-centered, but you are self-focused. Because if you get out of focus, you're going to find your wheels spinning. You're going to find you getting exhausted. You're going to find yourself imbalanced with family and profession. Just how do I keep balance between organization and home? You're going to find yourself frustrated. You're going to find yourself not communicating clearly, not leading effectively. If you don't have those 5 things in place, you're going to drift a lot, frankly. You're going to go by and have a year go by, and you think, what did I get done? A month, a week, a year. And you think, did I do anything? Am I making any difference at all? That's what I'm trying to do, is to make it so that you've got the right tools to keep you motivated. One of the things you want to see is that some of these tools may take you an hour or 2 or 3 to fill out. But once they're filled out, it takes you only 5 minutes to review. So if you can take yourself some getaway planning time, like a personal retreat day or personal retreat hour, personal retreat 3 hours, and just interact with some of these tools and fill them out and get them where it's clear, may take you an hour just on a certain tool. But then in the future, when you get sort of wondering, where am I going? You look at that, and 5 minutes later, you're right back clear again. So I've got a few tools that when I look at them, it never takes me more than an hour to get clear again, to get focused again, to get motivated again. Well, motivated is another one, but basically they're tools you can use for a lifetime.